Hi, welcome to the module on customer interviews. And whenever we talk about customer interviews, I'm reminded of the story about Henry Ford, um, where he said, had I asked my customers what they want, they would have said faster horses. So Henry Ford being the founder of Ford, and he introduced or he created the first car. So the underlying thought to that was that you cannot just go and ask your customers what do you want. Customer interviews are not for that, and a lot of people will mistake customer interviews for that, like asking your customers what they want. It's not about that. So customer interviews, if done right, can give you very deep insights into your customers' minds, their emotional states going through your product, their emotional journey, and their emotional transformation when they use your service, right? That's what you need to focus on when you are talking about customer interviews. And to be 100% honest, I think when we are talking about building startups, I would not straight away go and do customer interviews, right? I would take some time to evaluate my problem, to understand the idea, to see the upsides in the idea, and then see if I need customer interviews to validate that further. I'm going to walk you through certain stories which will help you understand the importance of customer interviews and also understand through the content that I'll be sharing how to conduct these, right? And when and why they are relevant. Okay, let's get straight into it. So we heard about the story of Sarah Blakely, I think, in our earlier modules also. And there's another story of hers that I want to share, the Spanx GPS story. So this is Sarah. So Sarah had $5,000 idea and zero experience. So Sarah Blakely had 5,000 in her pocket and an idea for footless pantyhose. Ironically, they don't do that now. They've discontinued that product completely. But she had this idea but no business experience. So immediately, instead of investing in manufacturing setup, she spent some time because it was such a huge investment. Now, here where I would encourage people to go and do customer interviews when your initial investments are very high. Then you need to do everything to be sure of your idea. You know, every validation that you can get, you should get when the initial expense is high. But in tech products and digital products, the initial expenses are not so high. So I would encourage you to build them, launch them, and then look at customer feedback and customer interviews to make it better, right? Or pivot, because that's something we can do in tech products. So coming back to Sarah's story, so she spent her first month doing interviews. She interviewed about 50 women. And one woman said, I have a wedding next week and my dress shows my ankles. Another said, I need something that won't bunch up during my 12-hour nursing shift. So she was a nurse. Um, so she didn't build, she interviewed. So she wasn't selling pantyhose, she was selling confidence. So these interviews revealed that her real business wasn't selling pantyhose, it was selling confidence for specific situations. When I'm using this product, how do I feel? Do I feel confident to go to a party? Do I feel confident throughout my day? Um, and that insight prevented her in making very expensive mistakes. She almost packaged them like regular hosiery, which was boring. She almost priced them like commodity products, too cheap. And she almost marketed to all women, too broad. We've spoken about, and we will speak about targeting during our, um, I think, the next section. But within this section also, what customer interviews do is help you narrow down your target. So we spoke about how problems are specific, and those problems are even better to solve, which are very specific, right? So instead of, like we spoke about, instead of catering to 1,000 customers poorly, If you cater to 100 customers well, you will see success. So instead interviews guided her to premium positioning. So 20 hours of interviews led to 20 weeks of building the wrong product. Now, these interviews, like I said, the customer interviews are really valid when you are getting into high investment areas. If your initial investment is low, let's build the product first. So they are your GPS, expensive wrong turns before you can prevent expensive wrong turns before you make them. So I hope that kind of helped. Let me also share some points. So 90% of the businesses fail because they build products that nobody wants, right? And this largely comes from the fact that you think of an idea, you straight away go and build it. You don't do any idea evaluation. You don't try to understand your customer. A deep understanding of your customer leads to better solutions. You could be very close to the main idea, and that's where more and more insights kind of help you, right? Customer interviews help you prevent expensive mistakes. When ineffective, leading questions, asking for opinions instead of stories. So you remember the Henry Ford example that I give you. Don't ask the customer, what do you want? Focus on their problems, focus on their emotional aspects, and then decide what is the solution that you're going to give. And also the placement of the product. I'm getting into the next story now. I think most of this customer interviews you will understand through stories, right? The Bumble dating truth discovery. This is very interesting. So Whitney Wolf Herd, founder of Bumble, discovered that traditional dating apps research was completely wrong. When companies asked women, would you message first on a dating app? Now, this is a leading question. Would you do this? And then most said no. But Whitney asked different questions about past behavior, you know. So she didn't inquire, she didn't come to the real question. She's trying to understand the psychology of a person going online, dating online, and then deriving her learnings from that. So, what she asked, tell me about the last time you met someone you were interested in, right? So, like I said in the last section, also focus on stories. Don't ask customers what they want. Focus on these, and from these stories, their behavior will come. And that will tell you how to build, what to build, when to build. So what happened next in that situation? How did you feel when you had to wait for them to make the first move? So she asked better questions. Now, this is very interesting. What stories revealed? Stories revealed a different truth. So initially, what people asked, what other dating apps kind of asked, would you message the guy first? And they said no. But here, one woman said, I saw this guy at the coffee shop for weeks. I kept hoping he'd talk to me. Finally, I accidentally bumped into him. I basically made the first move, but had to pretend I didn't. Right. So the emotional aspect there was that while women said no, they won't make the first move, they could, but they want to pretend that they didn't. Right. But they're okay making the first move. So women said they wouldn't message first, but their story showed that they were constantly frustrated by waiting, by guys who didn't know how to start conversations, right? There were problems at both ends. So giving women the first move officially, and that's been Bumble's biggest USP, where women make the first move. So, key insight, ask about stories and not past behavior, not opinions, not future intentions. Stories reveal truth that people can't actually articulate or explain directly. So, delve into their stories, right? Don't ask for opinions. Don't ask what will you do, right? Okay, I'm getting into the mind map. Art of asking questions. Ask about past behavior and not future intentions. You cannot predict future intentions. Oh, I will not do this, or I will do this. You cannot base your solutions on that. Tell me about the last time you did this versus would you have ever, right? So these are the kind of tweaks that you can adopt in your questionnaire, asking about previous or past patterns and not building or not putting them in situations. How would you behave if this happened? No, don't do that. But what did you do in the past? Did you do this in the past? Or talk about their stories of the past. Open-ended questions really reveal unexpected insights. Okay, interestingly, earlier we were discouraged from asking very open-ended questions, let's say to a larger audience. So if I'm interviewing 200, 300 people, I would not ask open-ended questions. I would design questions with multiple choices in a way that they constantly validate the same answer. Or I'll put them in different situations and give them multiple choice questions. Now, this we did because reading data was a task. So you had to spend a lot of time understanding data. But in today's time, when you have tools like ChatGPT and others, where you can analyze data very easily, you have the leverage of asking open-ended questions, right? And see what patterns emerge from those questions. So customer interviews need a lot of patience. These are not just, you give them multiple choice answers and, you're done with it and you can take it like your North Star for building your product. No, I think delve more into open-ended questions, stories. Okay, what happened next? How did that make you feel? So we're trying to map their emotional journey when they use certain things or how they feel when they do certain things. Listen for emotions where they get excited or frustrated. Best insights come from stories, not answers to direct questions. So I think this is very clear now. Let's move on to the next story. Rent the Runway, emotional discovery. This is a very, this Rent the Runway is not a very familiar brand in India, or it's not a very familiar, what you say, company. So you may not relate with the brand, but focus on the story. The logical problem: designer dresses are expensive. So Jennifer Hyman, co-founder of Rent the Runway, thought she was solving a logical problem that designer dresses are expensive, so women need affordable access. So her premise was, I'm going to make affordable dresses because designer dresses are expensive. That's a very simple statement, nothing wrong with it. So she asked the right questions. What is the most frustrating part about buying expensive dresses? But what emerged out of that very simple question was that somebody said, okay, I bought a dress for $400 for my friend's wedding. I looked amazing, got tons of compliments, but now it's lying in my closet. And it makes me feel very guilty that, I spent so much money over one dress. So it makes me feel bad about myself. That is a great, and it made me feel that as if I don't know how to spend or I'm bad with money. That's such a great insight that she got. So women were not so concerned about the cost, but what they wanted was emotional relief, right? That they were being logical, right? Or they were being smarter about their choices. So this is how the emotional truth changed the business. So marketing focus from affordable luxury went to guilt-free glamour. Now, let's say you were going to go and market this product. You would talk about, because you think that your USP or your value prop is cheaper. So, in the remember what we talked about in the problem identification, and is your solution cheaper? And you said, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to sell it on. But if you look at the insights that come from the customer interviews, customers were less concerned about cost, but they wanted to feel smarter. So the marketing campaigns changed to guilt-free glamour. And that is such a great example of capturing the customer sentiment for marketing, right? Product positioning changed from cheap designer access to smart fashion choices. Again, same. Budget conscious women to socially savvy women, right? So we're not talking about price here. We're talking about customer smartness. Very nice. I love this story. People buy emotional relief, not logical solutions. So you have to dig deeper with these customer interviews. So that's one reason you have to think about how to kind of smartly, interview your customers. Okay, let's go back. So logical issues people can articulate, right? People can tell you give you a lot of logical explanations, but emotional is something that you have to dig deeper. They're not very um, what you say, emotionally expressive. So for example, you go to a restaurant and the restaurant owner comes to you and they say, how did you like the food? And 9 out of 10 times people say, it was good, you know. And or the bread could have been warm or hot or something of that sort. So they would give these logical explanations. But what is the emotional side of this, right? The emotional side of this is, in which people don't express, and because they're not asked, right? It's simple. They are not interviewed about this, they are not asked. You've gone to an expensive restaurant, you took out some time to go there with your family or your friend, and the experience was not so great. Like, it was an average experience, wasn't a delightful experience, right? What is your emotional state of mind? One, you feel I didn't get value for money, right? Two, you feel, oh, I lost out on a very important time with my loved one, So you have to dig deeper into these emotions, to understand what customers really feel. These pain points also reveal urgency, how badly they want this situation to be solved. So, if you don't understand the emotional attachment, or let's say the emotional trauma, or I mean, I'm using a very heavy word, trauma, but yes, the emotional attachment to this solution, you will not understand what is the urgency of giving that solution, or what is the urgency of solving that problem. Pain intensity determines willingness to pay. We all know, if the need is high, the solution will be most welcomed. What's the most frustrating part about that? This is the the major question that you should get answers for from your, what is the frustration? What frustrates you? Okay, let's go on to the next story. The glossier millennial precision. Very tough words to say. Anyways, Glossier is again a very big brand in the beauty space, in the beauty and makeup space. International, so we've not heard much about it. So Emily Wise, founder of Glossier, could have targeted young women interested in beauty. Now, with every story, you're also learning about targeting, right? So the customer interviews give you a good sense of targeting also, right? So obviously, I'm going to leave these case studies with you, these stories with you. So go through them. And one of the tasks is to understand targeting. Who is your right, uh, what is your right customer demographic? Which customer you should focus on first? So she wanted to create laser focused avatars. So Glossier's magic customer Maya. Maya, 24, lives in Mumbai, works in digital marketing, earns 8 lakh annually, takes the metro to work, checks Instagram 47 times daily, shops online during lunch breaks, influences 3 friends, beauty purchases monthly, wants to look effortlessly put together, not overdone, and spends 15 minutes max on morning routine. When there's so much data in just this one paragraph, which is so laser focused, um, and you will see how this has been leveraged. So specific customers equals to easy decisions. So this is like a, again, next step to customer targeting. Product, simple, Instagram worthy packaging. Maya would definitely photograph it, put it on Instagram, share it with a few people. So whatever we are building or designing has to have very attractive packaging. Where will I market this product? I will go to Instagram and I will go to metro stations because Maya takes a metro, right? I don't need to do TV ads or magazine that. How am I going to price point this thing? 1500 to 3000 range, not too cheap, but not too impossible, right? And this is based on how much she earns. Messaging, effortless beauty, not dramatic transformation. Like you saw that she had 15 minutes to get ready in the morning, right? So she needs something quick. And lunch break email campaigns and evening social posts. This is a great insight into customer targeting and how product positioning is based on specific customer avatars, right? This is an additional side to that story, the power of saying no. When Sephora wanted to partner, Glossier said no because Sephora's overwhelming section would confuse Maya. When investors pushed for older demographics, Emily refused because it would dilute Maya's experience. So she was laser focused on that avatar. Specific avatars make decisions easier and attract the right customers. Better to serve 100 specific people perfectly than 1,000 people poorly, right? This is where customer insights help you. I hope you like that case study. And the learning from that case study is building your very specific customer avatar. Okay. Create hyper specific customer avatars and not generic personas. And that's what we basically, through our startup journey, that's the discovery that we have. So you must have heard of the term product market fit, right? Now, product market fit is basically what is your product, how well it serves this market, which is your target audience, right? So, and this target audience is specific, not generic. Right? Working mothers is generic. 35-year-old marketing manager with 2 kids under 8 living in Gurgaon earning 15 lakhs annually is specific, right? So specific avatars, you saw how it made decisions easier. You rather serve 100 specific people than 1,000 people poorly. On to the next story. The Nika sales psychology discovery. Nika is a brand we can all relate to. I think all of us have shopped from Nika once or twice, or at least once in a lifetime. The traditional beauty retail problem. Falguni Nair, founder of Nika, discovered that traditional beauty retail was selling completely wrong. When she interviewed potential customers, she asked, what would convince someone like you to buy beauty products online? And the answer was very surprising. And she said, I want to see real reviews, and I want to see people like me who not just models. I don't want to look at models because that's misleading. And that's been the problem of the beauty industry. They have beautiful models, all of them are misleading. For average people who look like me or you, I'm sure you look beautiful. But you need to you would identify better with people like you using certain products, right? So Nika's response to that was user generated content and diverse review photos, right? So this is where customer insight really helped. And the other customer insight was I want to try this at home, not in a store where salespeople are watching. So I get too conscious. And Nika's response was easy return policy and programs. You can order samples. Then again, the next insight was I trust my sister's recommendation more than advertisements. Excuse me. So Nika's response referral programs, influencer partnerships with relatable women. So this whole concept of relatability, I don't want to look at aspirational people. I want to look at real people like me. Yeah, because I am going to use the product. So I want to see how it looks on other people who look like me. And then I research everything online, but I still want expert advice. So Nika came up with beauty advisors. So real insights from real women. I need to see real reviews, user generated content. I want to try this at home. Yeah. One customer said, show me a woman with my skin tone using the product in normal lighting, not studio lighting. And let me return if the color doesn't work. So this is again, I want to see more relatable people. I would want to see that. Um, I don't have a very bright white skin. I have a wheatish complexion, so even I'm very conscious about using beauty products, and I want to see women with similar skin tone using them. So it gives me more confidence. So don't guess, ask customers, reach for insights, and then build on that experience. Hope you like that story. Just checking if there's something that I've kind of missed. You've got the gist of it, I think. Let customers tell you what to do. So find out, learn their decision making process and timeline. This is, I would say, very important when we are looking at customer insights. How do people decide on buying things, right? What would convince you to buy something? And typically, you would see that they research, they take advice, they are, they take recommendations from influencers. So slowly, you're also understanding your go to market strategy. And we will talk more about that in that module. But do remember these stories, and I'm leaving a link for you to kind of, uh, read them at your own pace. Next story. And this is the Zivame story. We've heard of Zivame also. Great brand. So Richa Kar, founder of Zimame, started with a simple idea, selling lingerie online, but customer interviews revealed with patterns that completely changed her business strategy. Let's see what customer interviews. Yes, so buying lingerie in a retail space is very embarrassing, and we've all gone through that. Female only customer service and marketing imagery. Strategic change from Zivame was female only customer service and marketing imagery. Sizing confusion, virtual fitting technology, and detailed size guides became core features for Zivame. Several customers mentioned that they wanted their husbands to surprise them, but men had no idea what to buy. So, a gift guide, surprise my wife. Gift guides, sweet. Learning from friends. Young women consistently said they learned about lingerie from friends, not mothers. So, peer to peer education content and friend referral programs. This is great, actionable stuff that you get from customer insights. I want to feel confident in what I'm wearing underneath, even if no one sees it. Positioning transformation. Online lingerie store, bad positioning. Confidence platform for Indian women, perfect positioning. Look for patterns across interviews. When multiple customers say the same thing, that's not opinion, that's market data, and you should reshape your entire strategy according to that insight. So, yeah, I think that case study says it all. Let's see if we are missing out on any particular point. Interviews should give you, interview insights should change your product, price, positioning. Look for patterns across. Now, this is quite possible with AI. So you can have, I spoke about it earlier, you can have open-ended questions. One person's opinion is interesting, but when 5 people are saying the same, that's data. Right? Interviews should make your business strategy more focused, not broader. Again, narrow it down. So cool. I think you got the idea of it. Customer interviews, when done well, can give you amazing insights, more actionable insights to focus on, right? And I take two things from this. One, how to customer interviews are absolutely important, and there is a way to conduct them. So don't rely or don't ask direct questions like, what do you want? Or what would you do? Deep delve into their emotional psyche. Second, I would say that narrow down your target audience, right? With these interviews, discover more and more people that can be part of your narrow targeting, right? So in the next video, we will work on the exercise. You'll really enjoy this exercise. Thank you.